On April 20th, 2010, the Deepwater Horizon disaster changed the lives of millions living near the Gulf of Mexico, as well as the scientists who responded to the crisis. These are some of their stories, intimate portraits of research, innovation, discovery. Welcome, I'm Jim McNamee, editor of Dispatches from the Gulf, a series of documentaries, short videos, and podcasts. We often think of our planet as well-studied and well-understood, but even researchers at the cutting edge of the field, like Dr. Tracey Sutton, have to admit that we know very little about the deep ocean. Sutton and his team have been working for years to better understand the creatures that live in the depths. Below 200 meters, things start to get weird.
My name is Dr. Tracey Sutton. I'm an associate professor at the Nova Oceanographic Center. Pretty much doing now what I thought I was going to be doing at 6 years old. I grew up in a coastal town, was always interested in the marine life in the Gulf of Mexico, so I pretty much tried to come back to the Gulf every chance I can. We're still in the discovery phase in the deep sea, so we never know what we're going to see. We gather around the trawl when we get it on board and almost always see something we've never seen before. We're familiar with the oceanic fauna that lives near the surface, like tunas and billfishes or whatnot. But if you go down about 200 meters, things really start to change. And the fishes and shrimps and squids that live at depth are all luminescent, they light up. And the deeper you go, the stranger the midwater fauna gets. They start having enormous fangs and luminescent lures, and it's kind of an arms race down there of who can eat whom. So it's kind of a strange place. Most people think of it as basically life on another planet, but it's by far our largest ecosystem on Earth. So it's the average life, and in many ways we're the exception.
Dr. Sutton and his team use every tool at their disposal to try to get a handle on what lives in the depths of the Gulf. But the scope of current knowledge doesn't even include basic life histories for these deepwater creatures.
We're using a number of techniques. We're using autonomous vehicles with cameras. We're using deepwater trawl nets because we still have to catch specimens to identify them. In many cases, there's still a lot of new species down there. We're using acoustics and other sensing packages to get a large-scale view of the distribution of life. And we're also using remote satellite oceanography to give us a broad-scale picture of the open ocean that'll help guide our work while we're out there. We don't know if there are annual changes in what lives deep. In most cases, these deep pelagic systems, especially below 1,000 meters, are so poorly known. We really have no idea what the seasonal cycles are below 1,000 meters. So remember, these are communities that never see sunlight. They hypothetically can't tell the difference between night and day. So what the cycles are out there is completely unknown. Hopefully we'll be able to discover that.
The health of these poorly understood deepwater organisms is integrally tied to the health of the Gulf and beyond.
Even though they're bizarre looking, the fauna out there are actually the majority of fish biomass on Earth. And one of the things that we're finding is that this twilight zone between 200 and 1,000 meters is responsible for a lot of the carbon cycling in and out of the ocean. We do care about these midwater fauna largely because they're integral to the health of the planet. That's kind of a common phenomenon that we're exploiting the deep ocean commercially before we know what's there. And that's where we are with the Gulf. So part of our mission is to determine what lives down there and then try to back calculate what may have been the effect of something like the Deepwater Horizon. What we do know is that the oil and gas industry in the Gulf of Mexico is expanding and going deeper as it is everywhere in the world. Hopefully, all of this research that's happened after the spill makes us much better stewards of the Gulf environment so that it's actually healthier.
Today, thousands of scientists, oceanographers, chemists, engineers, biologists are all working together to develop newer and better ways to understand and ease the impact of oil spills. To learn more about their work, visit our webpage at dispatchesfromthegulf.com. Funding for this podcast was provided by a grant by the Gulf of Mexico Research Initiative. And thanks for listening.